So, greetings everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. Okay. Sorry, I think because of your network disturbances, so some places sometimes it takes a bit longer to load. So, I am Ammar Jamshed, business intelligence and data analytics consultant and AI data yard, and I'm also the instructor over here too. So, and thank you so much for taking out your time to come to this workshop. We're hoping you all learn from this workshop in terms of how analytics is done on a day-to-day basis at companies, including forecasting, and how we data scientists and data analysts are enablers for decision-making optimization all across the industries. So we hope you learn well, and we will be taking a Q&A session at the end. So if you have any questions in terms of your academia or your career changes for this field, feel free to ask them at the end. And if you don't want to speak and ask, you can always put it in the chat and we will address it once the time for the question and answers comes about. So with that, we can now start our workshop. Okay, hope you all enjoy. And we speak in English and AI DTR because we have a lot of international participants as well. But अगर किसी को कोई मसला है समझने में, मैं उर्दू में भी बात कर सकता हूँ, कोई मसला नहीं है. So basically, in our workshop, we have to explore what analytics and forecasting is in our ecosystem in Pakistan and across the developed and developing world. And how are we, going to make a difference in this skill set? Okay, and I will be showing you a few demos and hands-on, of some hands-on tutorials as well, that how we build it with these popular tools like Power BI and Excel. Okay, and I'll show you some Python-based work as well, if we get time in today's session. So AI data yard, as I told you, our entire envision as a startup is to, broadly improve Pakistan's data and IT infrastructure as a consultancy and a training institute. As we are enabling the skill set of Pakistan, and without a proper training and skill set, you can't establish a value chain for any particular industry, especially analytics, which is what places like AI data yard are, orientated towards. So we can start with what the basic is, like what do you know about data? Okay. So what is data analytics? Okay. So first, data, right? When we talk about data, we have to explore, right, that is it a table? Is it an Excel sheet? Is it a database like SQL? All of the answers can be correct, and all of the answers can also be wrong. It all depends on how you view data for a particular scenario at hand, where it can actually differentiate in terms of what people require. Okay. So like, large scale companies like Microsoft and Amazon, they don't look at data in spreadsheets. They look at it in terms of large scale databases where data is being generated continuously from their servers, from their customer centers, from their POS systems, that's point of sale systems, at their stores and marts, including other stores where their products are being sold. Okay. But let's say for FMCGs in Pakistan, most of the data still comes in spreadsheets because Pakistan's digitization infrastructure is not at par with the developed nation due to the cost of implementation over here and maintenance. So most of our data comes as a byproduct of already done activities, while in other countries data is being used while those activities is being happening. Because over there, when they're planning any decision or any business, they first look at the data, that if our sales have been, increasing in a particular linear direction for 2 years, then maybe we should sell more in these 2-3 years, in these years that are going to come after that. But over here, we're using data as a byproduct, that once the decision has already been done, then we're just using it to reaffirm our biases. So before we even think about implementing a data analytics department in a company, we have to first establish a data culture, that how do we use data for day-to-day scenarios. Okay, so what is data analytics? So analyzing data for business insights is what we call data analytics. That I've analyzed the data that, hey, that, in these regions that my customers are buying more of a particular product. Let's say in Karachi, most of the market is geared towards necessities, but in Lahore and Islamabad, most of the market is geared towards luxuries. So necessity based products like rice, let's say flour, even agriculture products are going to sell more in Karachi. So we have to plan based on that, our supply chain schedules. But for Lahore and Islamabad, it's mostly luxury products that are at a higher demand. due to various factors from income differences, from culture differences, or even competitive business differences. Like even though Karachi's overall GDP per capita might be more, but the demand for these products may not exist in local markets because it's a port city, so anyone can import them from outside, right? So the entire concept comes about the business mechanics and the data used to support it. Okay. Then we talk about what effective technologies can we employ to generate better data. Like, some people will do, you can't for, your whole life think about using Excel sheets to input data manually. You have to use proper technologies, sensors, social media activity, satellite feeds to generate the data from, for which you need to hire programmers and even the data infrastructure staff to, generate the data pipelines. Now, people will ask, what is a data pipeline over here, right? The data pipeline is just a set of operations to collect the data and transfer it to the business server, right? Like example, all of Tesla's cars, right? The data is being generated from sensors on a daily basis, that which routes the cars are taking, what objects the cars are seeing, and all of that data is being sent from the cars to Tesla servers for their teams to analyze it. That entire process is called a data pipeline. Okay, that how we collect data, clean it, and transform it to be used for further analysis. We also use data analysis to launch new products with new ideas about consumer trends, right? Because nowadays you all heard, like 2 years ago, KitKat launched that pink KitKat flavor, right? Because they analyzed the data of consumers in multiple countries, that they found that the new Gen Z, they're not interested in these old traditional flavors of chocolate. They like some sort of new flavor that, gels with their circumstances. So pink, because pink is very common, being used in cartoons and movies to describe actors with particular color clothing or particular colored hair, with all these new trends coming about. So they found that, since pink is used for a lot of trends in Gen Z cultures, so maybe we should, you introduce it in a chocolate because they can relate to it so well, right? That's how we use data for further, like what do we say? Launching new products. And we also use data to narrow down on existing problems. Like one particular example was when a colleague of mine was working on a data task, right, for a particular textile company. They all were using Excel sheets on a regular basis, where they were, and as you all know, Excel sheets have limitations, right? Sometimes the data gets hidden between visualizations. Sometimes the visualizations aren't properly made when the data is too much to fit. So he used Power BI for it. And he was able to narrow down a problem in there, that the textile company wastes 1 crore every year on unsold textiles. So that entire problem became very viable and seeable when they used a new tool with better data, like management utilities. So using the right data tool might help you diagnose problems that you have never seen before. And then research on anomalies within data trends, right? Whenever we find data, we see that, there are particular anomalies, like, outliers in our data set, that if the revenue has mostly been up to $10 or $5, someday it goes to $100. That is an anomaly within a data trend. So sensors, are used in agriculture, in drones. They're also used in sprinklers nowadays. We also have sensors in cars. Even our devices like phones have sensors nowadays. So our data is being tracked on a regular basis. And then transmitters are also used for laboratories and research institutes to get data from outside geographical atmospheres, including aircraft, moving vehicles within high altitude. Website activity, like all your Facebook activity and social media activities, also exportable in Excel files and spreadsheets with businesses who have business accounts. So they can analyze the data of their consumers. User activity from applications, definitely Food Panda is one big example of that. All the stuff, Food Panda itself is just a data company. It doesn't sell anything on its own. They're just registered businesses on Food Panda, right? Food Panda monetizes based on the data, that what kind of foods people like, and what kind of restaurants they should partner with, so they can charge a commission on every sale. And POS systems, like I explained to you, they are those softwares for sales, which you have at cash counters in every supermarket. Nowadays, they're integrated in website orders too. So now types of data over here are differed. We start with structured, right? Yeah, talking about data makes me thirsty. So we talk about structured, right? So structured data would be the spreadsheets you have, which are in columns and rows. Like let's show you one example, which I think all of you have already seen beforehand. This data set over here, which has rows and columns, it's a structured data set because you can see and analyze the data set in terms of the number of rows and columns in basic words, right? But majority of the world's data is not structured, it's unstructured. Videos, images, documents, all of these are unstructured formats of data because you can't make visualizations and graphs on them, right? You have to first decode them into structured data in order to use them. For that, we have things called NoSQL databases, those are, which is basically not only SQL databases. MongoDB is one example of that because it allows us to convert these formats into structured formats for analysis. And all the companies, Microsoft, Amazon, all do that with their unstructured data. And semi-structured, satellite, social media, it requires very least amount of tuning. You can immediately export it as a spreadsheet or any rows and columns based for further analysis. So we call it semi-structured data sets. Okay. These are the three main types of data forms in our world today in use for business activity. Okay. Now, why is data analytics important for startups? Okay. We have to improve team performance, improve digital infrastructure for businesses. These are the two vital places in Pakistan specifically that we need data analytics for. But most importantly, it's making better decision-making processes. Okay, because without proper data at hand, we can't make the right decisions. And that is a regular problem in every business in the world, where decisions are being passed down regularly without further thought, because people don't have the right data at hand. Why do you think in government policies, Pakistan always makes the wrong decision? Because the data is wrong majority of the time. If the data is not clean and transformed right and proper in the formats, you're not going to be able to properly make an answer either. Okay, and digital products and services. So basically, when we have better data, we can decide what new products we can launch, what new products we can build. Like one of the recent things, like I believe, like InDrive, the company InDrive, which we all use for taxis and booking rides all the time. So basically, InDrive analyzed the data of all of its competitors previously, and they noticed one problem, that in Uber or even in Careem, all people have the same problem. They're sometimes paying more than the amount required for them to go from one distance to another. So InDrive came up with a solution. Why don't we give people a P2P rate setting access that let people determine the rates for their rides in collision with the riders? Okay. So that's how InDrive has been able to snatch most of the market from Uber and Careem in Pakistan, using the feature allowing customers to set the rates with the riders, right? And accessibility of their businesses for remote clients. So when we have more data, we can launch in new markets, which are even far geographically far away from our current markets. Freelancers capitalize on this as well. Even Upwork has data as well, that which clients from which region are willing to pay more than clients from other regions. That's what all freelancers on a daily basis have to do research on, where we can sell our solutions at a higher rate compared to where we are doing currently. Okay, so what uses does data have? Okay, we're not only planning, but forecasting, making marketing channel effectiveness, HR analysis of performance, HR analysis. Okay, people analytics is one training even AI Data Yard is working on, how we can build better people analytics solutions, using data. I also have an example as well, which I'll show you too, of how we can use data for HR, because nowadays everyone is targeting this area. And then operation expansion of business activity, new factories, new shops in locations not known before, right? If you actually analyze the data of Karachi, right, and you look at to set up a restaurant or a new shop, they're always going to run in the old areas of Karachi. Clifton and Defense is very saturated. So the old areas like Gulistan-e-Johar, Gulshan-e-Iqbal, restaurants all run over there, even small ones, because the market size is a lot over there. Because even if the income threshold in the new areas of Karachi is more, but the size of the market is much more in the old areas. So you have a larger customer attraction rate compared to the new areas. So manufacturing optimizations, how we can, add new materials to our products based on what data we're collecting. Like Tesla even added new features to its cars based on the data it saw from its customers, that what features they like, what kind of metal they like as well. So they've managed to gain back all the market they were initially losing to the Chinese manufacturers. Okay. Now, important question for the business needs. So whenever we, go on an adventure on a business project, right, we have to first ask a few important questions. that what are the needs of data? How is it generated from the business? Can data be maintained on existing business infrastructure? Does the business understand the value of its data? And how can data analysis impact strategy? So before even adventuring on this on a business analytics or data project, you have to first understand the requirements of a business. Then what do they need the project for? What do they plan to achieve from it? And there people take a month entirely to just examine these problems before they even start making a data solution. Most people just jump the gun too fast, and the project ends up failing as a result because you didn't take the business requirements at hand. Okay. So Zameen.com, Eat Mubarak, these are all startups that have used data analytics. And look, they've all succeeded really well. They've been acquired by bigger companies, some of them, and some of them have grown exponentially in the market now. And they're all companies that are just data companies. They actually have no physical assets. They're just selling data and they're monetizing on it. Because data is now becoming the new oil. So this is the entire life cycle of a data project. That you have to understand the domain, because in every industry data is different. Okay, just like in every industry you have different sorts of websites, you also have different types of data in each industry. So you have to understand the use of data and the business mechanics, identifying the digital points of collection, that how is it collected digitally, or if not, then how can it be converted digitally from being manual. Okay. Like I have been in projects where we've analyzed 100,000 documents. We had to take pictures and make an entire repository of it and then analyze the data. So sometimes in Pakistan specifically, you will have these challenges where the data has to first be digitized before it can be even collected for analytics. So developing the data infrastructure in terms of servers and machines, okay, it requires, along with the relevant tools and softwares. So, before we even think about that, we should just go ahead with this project, we need to look at if we have the software and technical capabilities to execute this particular solution. And if we don't, where do we get it from? So there are a lot of areas where we have to first tackle problems in before we can think about building a solution. Okay, these are main job, like areas right now in analytics. IT support is required for the data lake creation. Domain experts, again, domain experts are very essential in analytics. Without people who don't have the business knowledge at hand, we cannot make a data solution. And then business analysts, data scientists, data analysts, and data engineers, they're all growing fields right now. Data engineers are right now the highest in the growth, because right now we are working on setting up data teams. Once we have a lot of data engineers, then data analysts and scientists will further increase in demand, because right now we need to build data teams. So data analysts and data engineers are the most demanded right now for setting them up. So which tools are best for analytics? Power BI, Tableau, Excel, SQL, and cloud services. But in Pakistan, so Power BI, Excel is the one that's most popular. Tableau is also slightly popular, but not as much as Power BI and Excel. While in US, Power BI is mostly popular. In Canada, it's mostly Tableau. It depends country to country, because Microsoft has a lot of subscriptions, for particular regions. They have a good amount of good bargaining costs. That if you take Microsoft Excel or take a subscription from us, we'll give you access to Power BI completely on it as well. So these subscriptions make it cost effective for the companies to go with Microsoft on a large scale, especially its premium version. Now, time series, okay, which is the main objective of today's workshop, because time series, we have a lot of models. Normally forecasting itself, it's a huge domain of its own. There are so many different kinds of forecasting, from machine learning, from basic forecasting to time series. But the most popular one in forecasting, which people refer to forecasting as, is time series forecasting, in which ARIMA and Profit, nowadays Facebook has developed a Python algorithm called Profit, which also takes adjustments of seasonality. Otherwise, in normal ARIMA, we can't take seasonality as a complete feature, because it can give us the wrong forecasting in our data. And example, this is basically sales activity in Myanmar. This is right now, okay, a bit like, right now it has to reload. Let me check. Oh, my account is not logged in. That's why I don't want to log into my account. But this is, one of our previous trainees on AI data who built a dashboard with Power BI. It's right now being used by his company as well. So this is the trading and talent we work on nurturing over here, because our main objective is that you become hands-on practical with our trainings. We don't really if your objective in any training from any company is just a certificate, then you're not going to achieve much. You have to be hands-on with the tool. Okay, because in analytics and IT, it's all about what you can show people with your skill set, not about what you can tell them about it. Telling them is very important, but you have to show them as well. Okay, So let me show you a few hands-on forecasting workshops. First, this is a data set for supermarket sales. Okay. Now let's identify the variables we have in this data set. Okay. This is our invoice ID. This is our branch. This is our city. This is our customer, basically customer type. Okay. Where he's normal or is he a member? Like in Carrefour and all, you have these options, right? That you buy their card, you become a member, you get points. That's a member option. And the gender, if it's male or female. And this is the product line. If he's buying a sports good, if he's buying a fashion accessory or food and beverage, the price per product. Okay. And this is the quantity purchased. And this is the tax on the total bill. This is the total revenue. This is the date. This is the time by which it was checked out at, and the payment option, whether the customer paid by credit card or cash. Okay. And this is the cost of goods sold. So we can check how much revenue we made from the revenue. Okay. The profit we made. And this is the margin we placed on our total checkout. And this is the gross income we have before tax. And this is the rating by the customer. So these are the variables this particular supermarket collects. So how we build a forecast? It's very easy. All you have to do is select total revenue, and you have to select the date with it, and then go to data and go to forecast sheet. See, it automatically just made it for you. And you can further increase the forecast date if you want to see it a few years ahead as well. So let's turn this from 2019 to 2020. Create. So you can see we have created a forecast sheet right now. Okay. So we can now see these blue lines are basically all the recorded data we have of sales. And this orange line is the future sales that we're recording. The smaller line up basically is the upper bound, and the line at the lower level is the lower bound. The upper bound basically means that where the data high, at what value will the sales high come at the highest level. The lower bound basically means at what level will sales be achieved at the lowest point. Similar to how we did it with sales over here, we can do the same with profit, with quantity. You just have to select it next to date. Okay. And you run your forecast on it. Now let me show you a few forecastings in Power BI. Okay. So this is basically an advanced forecasting visualization. Okay. We basically are checking our forecast by sales channel, like all this forecast of sales being bought online versus offline. So and this is the forecast that, alongside the upper bound and the lower bound of the advanced visualization we're getting, if you can see this. Okay. Now let's go to forecast one. So I can, change the date over here with a slicer. Okay. Now, because my full data is till 2017. So after 2017, it's going to show the forecast. So you can see the upper bound is the highest my sales can go up to, and the lower bound is the lowest they can come to. If they're coming to negative, it means a chance I can be having a loss. In order to make this visualization, you also need to have a weak number column. And if you don't have a weak number column, you can create it with DAX. And DAX is created through new measure over here. Okay. In our workshops, we teach people how to do all of this as well. But this is normally now scheduled for our trainings, where we teach you how to create the formulas for new variables. And you can view the table in Power BI over here. Okay, and including the new variables you can make them like that over here too. Now forecast here. Now this is a forecast made with neural networks in R programming. So basically you have a lot of imported visualizations in Power BI, which you can import, which are already built with R or Python. So if you go over here to import a visual, get more visuals over here, you can go to Power BI's Visual Mart, where there are already created visualizations. You just have to import them and run your data on it. So like if I type forecast over here, so these are all the forecasting algorithms I can just import. Okay, like I already imported the one from R over here, and it's showing me the predicted variable over here, that over here of what your future sales will look like. It's more accurate than our other forecasts so far. And I can manipulate it from here too by closing it with a slicer. So I can narrow down on the visualization. See, now the data is more observable. Let's go to page 1. And now this is also, let's see, let me read on this. This is a different visualization. Let me go to page 1 ahead of that. Okay, now this. Another forecast I made. Now you can see the more linear our forecast is, the better it can predict. Remember, it's garbage in, garbage out in Python. If the data is wrong, the result will also be wrong. So if our data is clean, the forecast will be more reliable too. Okay, and I can close this with my shift date too. So you need to have a date column if you're ever building a forecast. If you're building a regression model, then date isn't necessary, because it's only looking into the patterns of other variables that are going to predict this other variable. They're not looking at whether it's changing with the date. And now this is basically an extra addition to our workshop. Okay, this right now is in R visualization, but there's also a way to use Python in R in Power BI. Okay, let's let this load. So you can see this is a Python visualization I made. So you can also use Python visual like codes in R as well. All you have to do is type the code over here, and you can visualize whatever data you want in any way you want. So you can even make a prediction in Python and visualize it on Power BI over here. Okay. So Power BI offers you all of these accessibilities, which you don't get with Tableau, because you can't write code of another language in Tableau. You can only use what Tableau has provided you. This is the one advantage you have with Power BI, which is what we train our professionals in over here at AI Data Yard as well. Okay. So let's see one more thing. Okay. So over here to I wanted to tell you one more thing as well. So seasonality ARIMA. So look, ARIMA, the normally auto-regressive integrated moving average, right? It does take into account seasonal effects and everything and filters the forecast accordingly. But sometimes it also gives us wrong answers, because if sometimes it, tells us that based on the average increase previously, we should get this much of an increase in the future. Sometimes the past data, right, has problems like, political events happening, or, weather events happening that can result in a loss of sales revenue. So ARIMA can't filter that out sometimes. So because these events, these outliers end up, disturbing the flow of data. And as a result, the forecast also gets disturbed. So normally Facebook's own algorithm seems to be a bit more reliable than this. But again, forecast is basically, we say forecast, we don't say prediction, because meaning we aren't completely sure. We're only looking at past calculations to determine the future result. Even prediction also is not reliable. It only gives us a better indication of what the future is to look like, but it can always change end of the day. So we use it for planning to make sure that even if it does change, we have certain security thresholds of the actions we have done with the data, so we don't suffer a big of loss. Okay, that's why we need data scientists, analysts to protect us from these big events that could result in a company to go away, but instead allows the company to survive, or an organization or a client. Okay. And okay, let's see what other things we can show you over here. 1 minute. Let me show you my GitHub as well. So for all the algorithms we save in Python, right, we put them on GitHub. So I also have my Facebook profit algorithm over here too. So it's not by here, forecast. 1 minute, ML. Okay. So all the ML algorithms I've made over here, okay, they're all saved over here too. You can always use my GitHub over if you want, and you can also import it here too. So this is a regression model I made in trying to predict future sales or sale price. So here I use LightGB, basically a Microsoft algorithm over here, gradient boosting, which we call light gradient boosting. And we also check, use metrics to check our forecast algorithm's accuracy. No noise, please. We will be giving question and answers, please, but please type them in the chat box. Okay. Okay. So a lot of people have asked me these questions that, okay, tell me that, how do we start our data journey? So look, I will tell you honestly, there is no one right way to start any your data journey. Some people will start from online courses, some even start from live training, some even directly go to university. There is no right way to start, because look, this entire field revolves around project experience. So the more projects you do with data sets available on Kaggle or any open source website, the better you will be with data analytics and machine learning. And a lot of people don't know the secret of Excel. You can also do web scraping, importing data directly from webs. in Excel. Since we have time, I guess I can show you that part. Hold on. Let's say open Google here. List of movies. Okay. Not the list of movies in Pakistan, let's say. Pakistan. List of Pakistani films. Let's look at this one. Okay. So let me copy this link over here and let me run this on Excel. You just have to go to the data tab over here, go to from web. Okay. And look here. Just a table. So it's imported multiple tables, okay? But I want the full collated one. Yeah, here's the one. So let's load it. So here. So you see, we have directly imported the data. So, but in order for this to work, your website has to have a table format. Like, the data has to be saved in a table form for this web in order to import it in Excel. Otherwise, you have to do advanced programming, like using Beautiful Soup from Python. Okay. So this is basically, and yeah, the solution I promised to show you as well on People Analytics. This is one over here. Okay. These are all solutions we made with Python on Streamlit, like this one. Let's let it load. Yeah, this takes a bit of time to load. Don't worry about that. Basically, we also built this in a partnership with another professionals working as well. So yeah, it's AI Data's own people analytics solution. Let load. Best part is you can build any machine learning model like this. Let's say name, let's say ID 01. Name. No employee found with given name and ID. Okay, it was built with sample data. But let me check if I can try and do that again. No employee found. I don't remember how to operate this because we had a different data set made for this. But I think maybe, let me check one thing. Let's go on GitHub because again, I saved it. Again, we use GitHub to make this as well because GitHub is saved on the backend over here. It's used as the backend repository for both the code and the data. Let me load it here. Here. Yeah. So you can see this is the code of GitHub, which I used to create this solution. So this is what it comes handy. Nowadays, it's no longer any challenging to make a solution. You can all use like, Streamlit or any tool like this to get data at this level. And you can further take it with app development or web development if you want it. But basically, things have become much easier with ChatGPT and Bard as well. And this is another tool we made where we took requirements as well. It's the tool we now train a lot of trainees on when we're going for workshops or anything. Because normal with SQL databases, you have to install and download them. But with this, we can just directly just give them the link and they can use it on the websites to query data. So yeah, let this load. All of you can test this out too if you want. I'm sharing the link with you. Okay. Basically, the last 2 minutes repeat was that we've built solutions with Streamlit, okay, which we built with Python. One was a people analytics one, where we partnered with another colleague also to help us guide us through this. But the solution we built, okay, it was to help us understand employee journeys. Okay, based on all we have to do is search their name and ID on it. But yeah, I have to work it a bit to show it to you properly. Let this solution load. So I'll show you the SQL tool we built, which is accessible via website. Just let it load. I don't know if network is slow today, but normally this is supposed to be done a lot faster. Yeah, let me do another one too. And yeah, until this loads, I'll also show you Kaggle. So all the data sets we usually use them from Kaggle. We also use multiple other platforms now, or we sometimes during our trainings ask our trainees to directly web scrap it from other websites, because end of the day, we try our best that your solution built is as practical as possible, okay? Because until it's not practical, unless you don't understand the challenges of reporting, data privacy, and the nitty-gritties of these projects, you're not going to be able to, properly excel at it. So we always encourage that, but everyone, the Kaggle account is really handy. So we do encourage you to make it. Now this tool is loading. Example over here, let's load a data set, the car data. Okay, successfully loaded. Okay, see, our table has been successfully loaded here. And let's name this table Ammar table randomly. Upload to SQLite. Okay, now if I want to query it, let's just write a normal SQL query. Select all from Ammar underscore table. See, we can now query it. Okay, and if I say select brand, now it's only selecting brand. So basically this is what our our tool can do. You can directly query these things on our website without needing to download anything. So yeah, it saves people a lot of time. And the best part is it can automatically visualize the data as well, automatically, without needing to run Python separately on it. But it can only take limited data. That's the challenge right now. So you see, this is our tool. We call it AI Data SQL. Okay. Now, when we talk about projects, we revisit back to something more. Where we have to revisit this problem again, that what do you know about data? Because even sometimes this has happened even with me and some clients and a lot of my colleagues, which are even bigger experts than me, that when we even build the solution, the client still doesn't understand it. That what do you know about our data? That's the question the client again poses to us. This usually means that we didn't study the data properly to think that the client would need such an advanced solution. Sometimes the solution you need to build for the client may be so basic that you end up wasting your time with such big algorithms. So remember, at the end of the day, this entire problem and solution for data comes down to business usability. So the storage costs, computing costs, client communication, these are the three most important things when building your data solution. And client satisfaction is the priority, because if the client doesn't understand how the solution works, your solution has failed. Okay. So never test with big models, test with the most simplest of calculations. Okay. Some people even don't need to build machine learning. They can just use Python functions again. Okay, just 3-4 Python functions to get the answer for the client. Okay, and make use of all these open source AI tools now like GPT, BART to get the code, because nowadays it's all about delivering fast. Okay, because everyone wants answers fast, they want solutions fast. You have to deliver it. It's no longer about how good of an expert you are, it's how effective of a professional you are at getting things done on time. Okay, because knowledge is available everywhere. You just need to know how to utilize it fast and actionably. Okay, that is okay. And now to come down to what we're going to do at AI Data Yard. Basically, in AI Data Yard now, we are now launched. Our third bootcamp is starting. That will be in like I believe this, I think next month. I think no, I think it's this month. Okay, this month, next week, our bootcamp is starting. So we are going to be covering Excel, Power BI, Python, Tableau, And one more tool as well, depending if we get time with the trainees, we teach everything from scratch, okay, in our boot camps. So we don't expect anyone to have any knowledge of data or statistics or math beforehand. A lot of our trainees who have taken our boot camp, they're now doing their masters in data science or analytics. Some of them directly ventured into the career path. Some of them started their own businesses as well. When people start their own businesses using our trainings, we really get happy, because it means we really made a difference to their lives. And regarding one question, I think over here, is it necessary to make a new ML model for data set? Oh, well, majority of models these days, are already predefined. You just need to be able to adjust the model for the new data in most cases. And it's better to use that as the first approach. If the data is very complicated to the point that there's been no model built for it till date, then we have to create a model from scratch. But even to create a new model from scratch, you can use Python libraries that already have all the mathematics inbuilt into it. You just have to run it properly for the data columns and the features. So yeah. So nowadays, people spend very less time creating new algorithms. They spend time using old algorithms to test new data on. Because that way, if something is reliably tested, it's better to use it than working on something that's completely new, because the client's not going to understand it, and even you won't know how to explain it to the client to give 100% assurity that this works, because it's never been done before. Okay, so that's what usually we recommend. And in our boot camps, again, everything is practical. We do not use much of our time for theory. While theory is important, but the main thing is that you can practically execute what you are learning. Okay, because that's what we want you to take to your jobs, to your clients, to your businesses. Okay, because end of the day, it's all about what you can deliver. Okay. So VGGA 16 model, it's already used for a lot of developments in video and image data. It's very reliable already. So, and that would be coming a lot under deep learning and advanced neural networks. So our bootcamp will only take you up to the machine learning, and if we sometimes get time, we then give you an exploration into what computer vision is, NLP is, as a different technique used for data. But if you want to further specialize on it, then you have to take other courses in like NLP and deep learning within AI Data Yard, which you can also do after the bootcamp. Right? We will cover up to the introductory level of that, because natural language processing, computer vision, deep learning, it's another world entirely. Machine learning itself is another world. We only cover to machine learning, how you can use data to make predictive models. But as a beginner, I believe you need to first start with Excel, because Excel is the most important tool, okay, for all of your data practices. Because Power BI and Tableau, you can learn after that. And if you do any job in Pakistan right now, they will always ask you, do you know Excel? Okay. So that becomes a challenge even for data scientists. Even for me, it was a challenge too, because I learned Python and so much in my analytics program. And then when I was working on Excel, it was a humiliation to me as well. But this is how things work mostly at any starting company. They give you test you on Excel first, then they take you to advanced tools like Python, Power BI, and Tableau. So with that, though, if there are any questions people have, please feel free to ask them. I'll be happy to answer each and all questions right now. Okay, Rafi's question, so I think I answered, yeah, Power BI. Okay. What's the difference? Shavana has a question. What's the difference between data scientist and data analyst? Okay, Shavana, that's a good question. So look, data scientists are in charge of researching the data, finding new places to extract the data from, and creating new new models for data. That what data do we need for a particular solution at hand, and what kind of machine learning model we should use to build the solution. But data analysts, on the other end, they're just the data, and they just work on the data with the given tools and build dashboards or storytelling procedures, and will explain to the stakeholders that this is what we've done. Data scientists more are the leadership position people, that how the data should be working. Bilal, ChatGPT does provide accurate code, but a lot of times ChatGPT does not provide the accurate code either. And even if you don't, and if you even if you if you don't need to know how to code, you still need to know how the code works, because otherwise, how will you give the right prompts to ChatGPT? That can you tell ChatGPT without learning Python? Can you design 3 user-defined functions to give me the proper answer to solving a sports riddle being used on a daily basis? And could you tell ChatGPT, should I use natural language? Should I use computer vision? Should I use deep learning to build this solution? Because when you're doing coding, you know the storage optimization processes, you know the underlying principles of coding. Without those things in your mind, you will not be able to tell ChatGPT to get the right code. So yeah, the ChatGPT can only give you as good of a code as you tell it to give you. So you need to know coding for that as well. Basically, you can't talk to ChatGPT in English without knowing English, right? Same thing goes with coding, right? So hope that answers your question. And next one is by Zurezia. How exactly workflow works between business analyst, data scientist, data engineer, data governor, database engineer, and there are more. Okay, yes. So Zurez, basically the question to that, there is no one right answer to that because everyone will give you a different answer over here. Like these are all interchangeable titles depending on business needs. Like, you know, what's expected of a data scientist in US or Pakistan is different from what's expected of a data scientist in Germany, because Germany is a very engineering driven economy. So data scientists there often come from engineering backgrounds. So if so basically a lot of tasks being given to a data scientist in USA will be given to a data engineer in Germany, while a lot of tasks of a database administrator will be given to a data scientist in Germany too. So it all depends on the country you're in and the company you work with. Like Amazon describes a data scientist differently, Microsoft describes one differently, Google describes it differently. But what is basically known from this field is that data scientists are people who are involved in the research aspect of the data and how to get data from new platforms, while the data analysts have to do the technical work on building the reports and building the dashboards. And data scientists take on the work at an advanced stage with working with machine learning engineers to build the proper models. And the data governor, basically, they design the ethics and governance processes, that who can use what data, how data cannot be transferred between different divisions, and how data privacy confidentiality has to be maintained. And database engineers just develop a platform to store the data in. And the data engineers, they are working on data pipelines, okay, that how data should be transferred one place to another for business reasons. Okay, I hope that answers your question. A business analyst, they analyze data in terms of what's required for the business. Okay, and okay, now Abdul Rob's tool question, which tool is best in data visualization? There is no one answer to that. It all depends on your needs. If you want to experiment with machine learning models, cloud services, and on-site premise at the same, and on-site data visualization on your machine at the same time, then the best for that usually is Power BI, because Power BI allows you to use machine learning, deploy on cloud services, and even basically furthermore scale up machine learning on your data if you want to do so. But Tableau just sticks to data storytelling. Okay, it just helps you clean the data and help you storytell it to this wide range of stakeholders. Ghulam Mustafa's next question: what country has the highest paid jobs for data analyst? Well, Ghulam, normally I hate answering such questions as well, because I don't like people going in the field just for the money. I want them to go choose the field based on whether they can contribute something new to it or not. And I would also encourage nobody to just think about the money, that data scientist is a $120,000 a year job, so we should go for it. Think about it if you can contribute something new to the field with your previous experience as hand. Okay, so so I would say that normally, because in US the rates for a data scientist are much higher than they are anywhere else in the world, but that's also because the taxation in US is high as well, and the supply of data scientists is also limited to that point, because very few universities offer data science training. But now that's also saturating a bit as well. But saturation is also a seasonal thing. It sometimes comes and goes all the time with every field. But if you want to expand your data science scope the most, then US is the capital of data science worldwide, because majority of the business tech fusion comes from USA and then goes into the rest of the world. And Mariam, basically, I started my journey as an undergraduate in business management. I then did a diploma in big data from another school, and then a master's in data science. Now I'm doing my PhD in artificial intelligence. I started my journey as a freelancer on Upwork with one or two projects. Over time, I started working with a few businesses. I got my first job as a result from my work on LinkedIn and my profile development on Upwork. So after that company, I worked with one or two more companies. Then I'm now working with AI Data Yard as a consultant and trainer since then. So I believe my work on Medium, my LinkedIn work, and my project portfolio paid off, because I believe in this field, it's all about how you can communicate the results most effectively even with the most basic tools. If you could communicate effectively, you have basically scored the client. So, and I faced a lot of challenges. People never agreed to define me as a data scientist because I didn't have a computing background. But I started working a bit more on Kaggle, got top 1% awards, I was even rated as one of the world's top 10 mentors on Kaggle, the only one from Pakistan as well, up till now. So as a result, people just saw my achievements and they said, this guy is a known data scientist. He knows how to get this job done. So yeah, a lot of people at first did not agree to describe me as one because I didn't have a computing background like the rest did. But now my background is being used as a reference for all of their backgrounds these days. Don't mean to overshadow myself, but that's just how it is. Thank you, Mariam. Means a lot. And Mubashir Javed, how to get a data analyst job in Pakistan, as there are very less opportunities available. So Mubashira, I would say yes and no to that answer. There are opportunities available in Pakistan, no, but yes, but you don't see them that much because mostly the opportunities come from outsourcing companies who are doing tasks for clients in US or Europe from Pakistan, because in Pakistan the cost of doing those jobs and projects is much cheaper compared to getting it done from anywhere else in the world. But you have a lot of internship opportunities. There are a lot of virtual internship opportunities. A majority of us in the data community started from virtual internships, like those offered by British Airways, Sparks Foundation, which make you experiment on projects, work on your LinkedIn profile, and communicate with others in this program in order to help you get your first job, right? So all of us started from there initially. So I say it's all about building a portfolio in this field that helps you take your career forward. That's what I would suggest right now. Even to all my starting students, I always suggest them build a portfolio, whether it's through GitHub, through Kaggle, or through Google Web Services. But make sure it's understandable to the client that what kind of projects you've done, what kind of industries you've worked with, and what results you brought them. And FIFA Siddiqui, what skills and tools we should acquire and learn for data science internships and jobs? Look, there is no one set answer to that. Each tool depends on the industry to industry. But two most important tools that you need to know in data analytics for starters are Excel, Power BI, and SQL. These three are very important tools that you need to know. And if you want to further go into machine learning, data science, then Python. And Mariam has, as a beginner, which steps are important that we should take to start in the data analyst field? I first suggest start taking online courses like the free ones or YouTube tutorials and see if you like this field. And if you find this field is really good for you, then go for a full training course like the one we have with AI Data Yard. So you know exactly what you want to achieve in this field. Okay, because end of the day, those people who we take as trainees, we want you to achieve out of this training as well. And a lot of people who come to this training and then they say, do we really want to enter data analytics or not? For us, that's also a loss as well, because we are hoping that that person takes this skill set to his job domain and further implements it or does projects in it. So it's both a loss for you in terms of time and money, and also a loss for us that this person didn't develop himself further, right? So I always suggest take online courses like free ones and YouTube tutorials, and then come for unpaid trainings. And from there, remember, this field is a continuous developing field. So you always have to take new courses, new trainings. You have to learn to enjoy learning and development if you want to excel in this field, because new tools are always released, new system updates are always there. But the methodology of using a tool, you will always remember that, because Power BI's format to make a tool is the same format that's going to be used to make future tools as well, because every tool made in the future uses the tool of a past as a reference to make it. So that's the advantage you get in this field. Okay. And what kind of projects do employers look for? Ahmed Khan's question. When they're hiring a data analyst, so they look for projects in particular domains. So if you go to a place like, let's say, Daraz, they would extremely be looking at if you worked on something like supply chain with Python coding or with Power BI, because most of their work involves around, shipping, items from one place to another. But if you go to Affinity, they'll be looking at if you build general machine learning models or recommendation engines with multiple data sets, because they collect data from so many different types of companies. So the more diverse your skill set towards data is, the more chances they will want you. Okay. But I suggest that it's not just about the projects you have, it's about how you sell them. Example, if you're going to an investment bank and you're selling and you've only worked on supply chain, so you can always tell them that the algorithms are used, the data processing are used in supply chain, the exact same ones like Monte Carlo are used in your investment banks for forecasting. And I exactly know how to tune them to get better results so we can get better customers giving us their portfolios and accounts. It's all about how you story tell yourself from one place to another using your past projects as an example. Even if they're unrelated, you can still connect them. This is the most important skill in analytics. Okay. So if anyone has any more questions, feel free to ask. Okay, Sabur Ahmed, okay. Would the bootcamp be a good foundation to cover the basic prerequisites for a master's degree in business analytics, decision science, particularly basic Python SQL? Well, Sabur, up till now, all the trainings we've had, they've told us that they were able to do a lot of the coursework in our master's university because of the trainings we provided them. So if you're looking at a global level for any master's degree in data science or business analytics, so our curriculum will cover at least minimum to minimum 40% of what you will be doing in a master's degree. You will be going a bit more theoretically in depth in it as well. Okay, that's what I will tell. But if you're looking at it from Pakistan's point of view, so our bootcamp covers at least 60% of majority of data science curriculums in Pakistan. So yeah, it will provide you a very strong foundation for your master's degree. It will make it much more convenient for you to do as well with work. So that much I can tell you, because I've done the same as well, taking a boot camp or diploma and then going for a master's degree. It made it very easy as a result. Like I even got a distinction in my MS in data science from University of London because my training was already covered most of the essentials while doing work at the same time. GitHub, Kaggle, and Medium. If you're going into article writing for storytelling, then Medium. Otherwise, GitHub and Kaggle. And sure. And Zurez, Zia, okay. Happy Lord Learning's free course. Look, Zurez, I'll tell you one thing from my experience. Look, there's a rule in this world. You only get what you pay for. Unfortunately, in our society, we have this, what do we say, free buyer behavior, that we want everything for free. But remember, Zuhair, like Zia, always remember that end of the day, you will only be able to execute talent or projects based on what you're willing to pay for it. You can also learn all of this from free from YouTube if you want, but you have to go through a lot of things on your own. You need to be able to, get things done on your own. You need to be able to uncover concepts on your own. So yeah, if you're willing to go through that challenge and you're well ready for it, go ahead. Now, no one can stop you, right? But if you want a guided approach with guiding you through bootcamp, through these training processes, helping you score your job in terms of interview prep and in terms of portfolio development, then we are there to help. And end of the day, Zires, tell me, if you are doing all of this work for 5 months, would you want to do it for free for somebody? No, right? You also want to charge your fees for it, correct? If everyone starts doing work for free, then the entire world will go bankrupt, man. And Sabur, thank you, Zures, for the question, though. And Sabur, okay, we will be glad to have you and glad to help you out as well. And end of the day, our main ambition is that we help as many people as we can towards their career goals. And end of the day, if you have any problems with us, always tell us our critiques so we can work on it better. Because until you're not telling us giving us the right feedback, we will not be able to improve. Okay, so Suresh, yeah, just book reading and just read books. That's what I do. Aftab, that's entirely up to you. Like in this boot camp, you will be guided throughout the process. So we will be helping you throughout the process. That's the difference from us and a self-paced boot camp. In a self-paced boot camp, you have to dedicate your time if you want to learn it. Okay, over here, so we will be helping you learn it. Even if you miss out a class, we will provide you the recording. And if you have any further questions, we will be there to answer them anytime you need them. I'm always there to help my trainees out whenever they need it at any moment in their times. Okay, and now we've done something different now. Previously, during the end of the bootcamp, we used to give you them projects. But we realized that all trainees also do jobs at the same time. So taking out time completely for one project becomes a challenge. So now we do instructor and trainee partnered projects in our data analyst bootcamp, because that way you will be partnered with me to do your project. And I will be helping you with the coding part and also the dashboarding part. So you can present it to your company or build it into a product or start your own company with it if you want. But our job, my job will be to help you get it at the basic level. Okay. So based on that, Aftab, it's entirely your interest if you want to join it or not, but we will help you however we can. Okay. So the rest is up to you. Okay, with that, I'm really happy that everyone took out their time for this webinar and workshop. And I look forward to seeing some of you in the data analytics bootcamp. And please do connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn as well as Ammar Jamshed. And do follow AI Data Yard. And if you want, you may post this webinar as a post on AI Data Yards and tag AI Data Yard on it as well, because so all our reach on our LinkedIn profile comes to you as well. If you make a post about this workshop, what you thought about it, and tag AI Data Yard and me on it, so our reach comes to you. Okay. So inshallah, and anyone has any questions, feel free to message me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to help. And thank you so much, everyone, for taking out your time for this webinar. It meant a lot. And looking forward to seeing all of your journeys develop further, inshallah. Thank you.